Hello, hello. What is going on? We are back again. Proper night this week. So this week we're good, but Sean and I are doing ours tomorrow because on Thursday we're seeing the gun at the top.
Yeah, something about someone named Maverick.
Maverick, yeah, not the cowboy.
Nope.
So yeah, Top Gun Part Deux. Maverick, Electric Boogaloo, yes. So I mean, I'm pumped up for it. So I'm gonna get my pop with layered butter now because I got addicted.
I'm telling you, man, when you go layered, you can't go back.
You actually can't. It's just silly.
No.
And people say, well, it costs too much, right? As does the popcorn. Like it's like you're already paying $4,000 for popcorn. You may as well pay $4,001 and.
If you're paying out the nose, like it's outrageous for me to go to the counter. I'm charged $2 and I haven't even opened my mouth.
Right, you just walk up to the counter like, that'll be $2, please. I'm like, I didn't. You just spoke $3. It's like Ferenginar. There was in Deep Space Nine. They go to the Ferengi home world.
Yeah,
and everything there is mice. When you go to someone's house, you have to give them money to enter their house.
Right.
And they go to like the government office building to talk about their taxes. So they get there, and they're like, "Oh, your tax agent is busy right now." And they're like, "Oh, can we wait?" They're like, "Yeah, sure." It's like, "Oh, it's $1." It's like they use latinum. They're like, "It's a bar of latinum or a strip of latinum to wait." It's like, "Oh," it goes. They want to sit down. They're like, "Oh, if you want to sit down, it's $2." And then it goes, "Oh, then we have to." It goes, "Yeah, but we walked all the way up here." He's like, "We could take the elevator. The elevator's another strip." So then he's like, okay. How about this? I'll give you 2 strips for the use of the elevator and 1 chair because there's 2 of them. And they're like, yeah, okay. You're like, nothing's happened. They're only waiting to see the guy.
We don't even know what he's going to cost.
Right. That's the point. I was like, he goes, just to wait and sit. He goes, why don't you have a seat? Wait. How much is it for a chair? 1 stripping. Okay, I'll give out. They're haggling over who can sit. He goes, okay, I'll sit. One guy will sit, and then we'll use the elevator. Oh, okay. It's great. But okay, so there's actually a lot to talk about too. There's not a lot of bullet points in terms of the matches really, but like Stephanie McMahon is done.
Yeah.
So we don't know who's going to. I guess she did a lot of stuff. So I think this was just I don't think there's anything weird going on. I think it was just she needs time to unwind.
Yeah, she was a chief brand officer. Tony Khan will be taking over some of her duties now. Not quite sure what he was doing with the company, but
I don't know.
I mean, you can draw it. It's very simple. It's a very easy to understand reason. Triple H almost died.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm sure that took a lot out of her. He was at WrestleMania this year, which I didn't realize for some reason I didn't realize that until I got the Blu-ray today. And I always pop in the movies just to make sure they work. And I'm like, oh, did I miss this part? Like, was I asleep or doing something else? Like Triple H came out. I'm like, oh. Okay. But
I remember him coming out.
He almost died, so I'm guessing plus I feel like you can't be in that work environment forever because it must be hard dealing with all the different priorities. Vince McMahon, the creative team. Well, Vince McMahon is a creative team. The individual wrestlers and what they want to do. Like it must be draining. And eventually, you would burn out eventually. I think anyone would. So no matter how much you want to be in that industry, like you would.
Well, it's like anything, right? You might like your job, but after a while, you're like, man, this is tough. Or you're doing a lot of extra duties.
Yeah.
And Stephanie wants to, be with her kids and stuff too. And so I don't think there's anything weird.
No.
With that, I've been I've been in a lot of groups looking at this whole Sasha Banks and Naomi's thing. Some people were saying, "Oh, it's a worker," but I don't think they pulled the merchandise. So actually, that shirt you cannot. You just happen to buy that like 4 or 5 months right before they shut that down. So you just basically got lucky and got that shirt.
Yeah.
Because all their merchandise is gone. If the merchandise is pulled off the site, it's over.
Yeah.
Right, because their whole so I'm wearing my Alexa Bliss today. So when I got the shirts for us, so for those who don't know, it's like I ordered it so that we don't, so we split the shipping in half pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So I ordered shirts for Steve and I created an account. Man, I get an email once a day pumping Cody Rhodes, new sticker or something stupid. Order now. I'm like, holy. So merchandise is huge for these people. I'm like, literally 2 seconds. Let's say the next day after the Usos got the belt. So it's like now it's the bloodline unified. Everything's unified with the blood. Like the next day, unified belts, Usos. Like whoa, like like you can't produce these products that fast. They desperately want, like, there's a new Becky Funko coming out with her with the 2 belts,
Nice.
Becky 2 belts or whatever. And it's like there's so much stuff that they pump. So when the merchandise is off the website, it's not an angle, it's not a work, it's not a kayfabe. It's like no, it's done. I don't know if Naomi's coming back. They're saying, well, maybe she might come back or maybe she won't come back. I mean, they're not coming back anytime soon because they pulled the merch. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, Stephanie, by the way, will be back. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Said she'll be back. This is legit. Both of their contracts is up in a couple months. Naomi was actually in the middle of a negotiation when she decided to pull this. If any of them is back, it's Sasha because Sasha is the bigger star. But this is the second time she's pulled something like this. So, and the problem is too, is that we didn't discuss this last time, is according to WWE, and this is a little bit too realistic for it not to have happened, they rehearsed the match at noon. So they knew the ending. They knew Naomi went over.
Right.
So you did it at noon. Fine. During the show, you walk out. That doesn't look good. I mean, and again, as I said last week, I'm not against what they're saying because you have to remember, actors get all pissy about creative and what their characters are doing, and they play those characters for 3 to 4 months in a movie, maybe 6 if it's a long shoot,
Sure,
or a year if you're on the Lord of the Rings.
Right.
These guys play it for
all time
years. Like Mark Calloway was the Undertaker for like 2 decades or something, 3 decades, something.
I didn't even know who you're until you said Undertaker. I'm like, yeah, who's that again?
Yeah, 4 decades. I don't even know how long he was the Undertaker. Like it's at least 3 decades.
Oh well, I remember Undertaker in high school because a mutual friend of ours, his brother was a massive Undertaker fan, and this was at least like grade 9 or something. So, like, I mean, so shit, like it's been like 30 years of Undertaker.
Yeah, it's got to be 30 years at least.
Like that. Like that's crazy, right?
So imagine playing a character for 30 years. That whole line between you and the characters is blurred by then.
Oh,
like, if you're like, oh, Undertaker, you're going to go out and lose to The Miz, I could see Mark Calloway being like, no, I'm not. I didn't build this thing for 30 years for me to drop to The Miz on Monday Night Raw.
Right.
So you have to think about in those terms. Sasha Banks and Naomi probably are like, we built this tag team. We did this tag team because we were going to build something out of it.
Right.
Now you're separating us. What the hell?
Yep.
The problem is that, I mean, wins, losses, belts, and all that, it's whatever's best for business. If Vince McMahon tells you what's best for business is you two will compete separately for the individual, women's championships, then that's what you go with. And this is where whenever people ask me about Brett screwed Brett, I usually land on the side of Vince McMahon, even though Bret Hart is a Canadian legend and I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
Reason for that is simple. You didn't like Shawn Michaels. You didn't want him to have the belt. I get you don't like Shawn Michaels. There's Becky doesn't like Charlotte. Charlotte doesn't like Becky. Right now, they don't like each other.
Yep. But they're civil with each other anyways. If you watch those interviews I had sent you.
Yeah, I watched them both. I got so into it, I started to watch him interviewing Kevin Owens a bit.
Yeah, no, he's
AJ
good.
Styles.
He's good.
That guy's great. Like Ariel.
Yeah, Ariel. Yeah, I don't know.
He's terrific, man.
He's
amazing. We can talk about that in a sec, but like you're doing what's best for business. If the best thing for business in Vince McMahon's eyes, who runs the company, is you two competing for the championship.
Yeah, this is like, it's like if you think of this as Marvel Comics or DC Comics, you could be like, okay, well, the Teen Titans, it's done. We're gonna move on. We're gonna do something else. The comic book characters, which are just drawings, are not gonna say, no, we don't want this, right? It's like they're just like, yeah, this isn't working. Okay, let's change the storyline, or let's get a new creative team on this book, right? Yeah. X-Men canceled 2 years ago. They canceled all their titles, rebooted it with Jonathan Hickman saying, I'm going to take over. We're doing the House of X and the Powers of 10. And that's going to relaunch X-Men. And now it's like this Krakoa and all this other crap. And you could say, I don't like it. It doesn't matter. It's like, this is what they've decided. And you don't see, Cyclops or Wolverine saying, I don't want this. I don't want to reboot my series. I like this, that's how it goes. So now, the problem with wrestling is that you're dealing with real people who, as you've said, are playing these characters day in and day out for years. So this isn't Sasha Banks, I'm just, whatever, I'm a piece of paper or an art. I am this person and I don't feel like doing this. The Brett screwed Brett thing, I'm not with Brett on this one, because the problem is that, look, Bret Hart wanted to leave. We'll table this in a second. Bret Hart wanted to leave. And it's like, okay, well, you want to leave. We're letting you go. You have a kick-ass deal with WCW or whoever. I think it was WCW. Was it WCW? No.
Yes.
Yeah, it was WCW. I think, yeah. They're like, you have a great deal with WCW. You're good to go. So here's what we're going to do, Brett. We're going to have Shawn Michaels win. And then Brett's like, well, I don't want Shawn Michaels to win because I think he's a jerk. I'm sorry. Are you not leaving and going to WCW? I don't. What do you want? Do you want us to have a celebration for you and say you're the best champion of all time and then leave? No, you're going to take a loss so that the belt can move on to Shawn Michaels. Even in the planning days of the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan he lost clean at WrestleMania 6. Here's the belt, Warrior. Take this and move on with yourself. And he had the 2 belts. I don't know if that was the first time someone had.
I think so. Yeah.
Like to unify the titles or whatever. So it's like, oh, this is crazy. Okay, there you go. So, and then Warrior effed that up. But like Hulk Hogan didn't say, well, F you, I'm not doing this. It's like,
yeah, like he had his reservations.
He was not happy.
Yeah.
But he took the loss at WrestleMania pay-per-view live, clean 1, 2, 3 with the Ultimate Warrior, who we know is a bit of a, not all there.
Well, I mean, there's an infamous, I don't recall if this was ever verified, but there's a rumor that The Undertaker was outside, I forget the WrestleMania, it was Austin versus Michaels before Michaels went to have back surgery and disappeared for a few years. This one he was in with DX, Michaels, and The Undertaker was standing there in case Michaels decided not to, quote unquote, do business and drop the belt to Austin, to sort of persuade him to do business. And this is the thing, like this business, you're not just doing this for yourself. You're doing it for everyone who came before you, and you're doing it for everyone who will come after you.
And for me.
Yeah, and for us.
You.
Yeah, the fans.
Right? You sat there for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And for us to bring it back to Naomi and Sasha, like I've got my notepad. I sit here like an idiot. I'm like, okay, six tag match. Yep, here we go. Oh, it's not on tonight. Oh, okay, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like
And
I'm
you didn't
sitting
pay
here,
for it. You didn't
and
pay for it. You didn't line up for it. You
right,
didn't sit through the dark matches.
right, exactly. Like I'm right. I'm sitting at home like, okay, that's one less thing to talk about Tuesday night. So, and this is just you and I, right?
Yeah.
We get like what? We get like 30 views on these videos, and it's like, but we're still customers. I'm buying this crap,
Yeah.
right? We bought our $800 tickets.
Yeah.
So I we buy this stuff. We go there and it's like, oh yeah, well Sasha's not there. It's like, okay, I was looking forward to seeing Sasha. That's one of the reasons I got this.
Well, at least I
So,
know what shirt to wear when we go on in August.
yeah, I'll be wearing Liv. I guess you're gonna wear Alexa.
Unless she's gone, then I have to buy a new shirt.
No, I don't think she's gonna be gone.
I hope not.
All right, well, let's talk about SmackDown May 20th, and then this topic will rear its ugly head, and we can talk about the interviews too. But SmackDown May 20th, really, the only thing to talk about really is Raquel versus Shotzi. Her and Aaliyah were like having a little feud there, mini, C card or feud or whatever.
I mean, thank God they're doing something with them. Like I was putting their faces on milk cartons. I was like, did they get, did something happen to them? And Raquel Rodriguez destroyed Shotzi, which is what should have happened. Raquel looks great again. And that whole Ronda thing, it was just a very weird blip on the radar. Like, it makes no sense because then Ronda's not there. And I'm like, listen, if Ronda needs time off for the baby or something. Now, I do agree with AJ Styles in his interview with Ariel. He said, my belief is if you're the champion, you have to appear on every show.
I agree. Becky said that too.
Yep.
Charlotte was disappointed in her interview, saying, I wish I could have been there more.
Yep.
And it's like, I'll tell you something about, well, Becky, I know for sure, and Charlotte, I know this for sure. I don't know about AJ because I didn't watch that one, but them too. Becky was saying, she's like, I watch everything.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm there from the beginning. I'm like, okay, what did this person do? What did that person? What's this storyline? What's this story? She is all over the business part of it. Obviously, we know Charlotte Flair is. Why do you think these people are the best? Now, I'll say this. I love Ronda. I've got her figure right there. I've got the Funko Pop. I've watched all her matches. I followed her jiu-jitsu career and all that too. I love Ronda Rousey. She's awesome. She's streaming video games. Yep. Like, I'm watching her stream video games while Raw is on. And I'm like, shouldn't you be watching Raw? Like, this is the kind of the thing where it's like, this is why people dislike Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey. Who else is in there? Any of these, any of these people who are kind of UFC fighters or whoever that came into wrestling. Wrestling is like a comic book. You can't come in. You can't, Jay, just show what's going on, brother. Thanks for popping in. You can't just read. You can't just come in and say, I'm going to write Superman comics. Do you read Superman comics? No. Okay, you don't read Superman comics. No, I don't. Well, what makes you qualified to write them? It's like, okay, you didn't read every comic. Action Comics was from 1938, so you didn't read number 1 to today. Okay, did you read the last 2 story arcs? No. Okay, how are you going to write Superman? So this is why Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, this is what they're obviously the two best. This is why they're the best. Charlotte literally breathes, eats, sleeps, breathes, whatever, this whole business. Becky's like, I pay attention to everything. I watch every show. She's got a kid now. So, okay, she's like, obviously I've got a kid. So sometimes we're watching the kid, but I've got wrestling on. It's like, this is what I do. It's not like your and I jobs where we punch in 9 to 5 and we're like, okay, 9 to 5, you got our attention. We're going to complete all, what I like. You have a queue. I don't know if you have a queue. I have a queue. So I've got a queue of stuff and I just go through the queue. It's like, got to get, this one's due. Got to finish that one off. And I clear the queue. That's what I do. So I cleared it up. And now, so usually I clear it by the afternoon. And then as things come in, because right now stuff is coming in while I'm off, like while, then I log in the morning. I'm like, okay, we have X number in the queue. Bang, 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 bang. Okay. And then I'm wait as they come in, I do it. Then I log off. And nothing I do in my day-to-day life matters into what I do with my day job. Same with you. But for them, as you pointed out, this is a 24/7 business for them. Ronda Rousey is always Ronda Rousey. So if she's on Twitter saying stuff and saying, hey, Becky, or hey, Charlotte, and Charlotte's on Twitter saying stuff or whatever, this is what the characters they play. Charlotte Flair, basically, and Becky with Ariel's interview, they were themselves. Charlotte Flair was truly herself. There was no kayfabe. There was nothing.
There's no kayfabe.
It was literally just like her talking. She's crying and stuff. You're like, this is not Charlotte Flair. And it was a great interview. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was better than it was better than the Becky one. The Becky one was good though, but like this one was really good.
Well, they were both terrific for different reasons. Like the thing, what I learned about this, which I kind of knew, but I didn't know, was Becky really believes in the business because she was still, she wasn't saying it. It wasn't a big part of what she was saying, but she was still pushing that storyline. Like, I'm going to beat Bianca. Bianca did this thing and blah, blah, blah. Like, she's still playing up the character. And she's done that with Up, Up, Down, Down, which is Austin Creed. Austin Creed? Xavier Woods' channel.
Okay.
Where he will play video games with his fellow wrestlers. So he's had Oscar. He's had.
I've seen that. I've seen that. Yeah.
And Becky was there, and she was playing a wrestling match, and she was just bashing Charlotte Flair throughout because I think they were wrestling each other. This wasn't the real life thing, which I'm still trying to wrap my head a bit around.
Yeah, and they seem to be okay with each other now. I don't know. I think Ric Flair got in that and fueled that a little bit. Like,
he did.
Charlotte was saying, Dad, like, you gotta, like, why are you in this? Like,
yeah. But Becky loves the business. I don't think Charlotte loves the business. I think she loves aspects of the business, but I also think she's very wary of wrestling because of who she is. Mm-hmm. I mean, Charlotte is not stupid. She's an exceptionally intelligent woman. And she knew walking in, oh, you're Charlotte Flair's daughter. Yeah, she has been fighting that since she started. Right. And she said, I didn't want to be a wrestler. I wanted to be a personal trainer.
Yeah.
She missed her calling because she's got so much charisma
and
she's athleticism. Awesome. She needed to be a wrestler. And she is the top of her, and she loves being a heel.
Yeah. Which she said.
I really like Becky too, where she's like, I've done everything you can do as a face. Now I want to do everything you can do as a heel. Which I respect both women for different reasons.
Yeah.
I admire Becky's passion for the business and her belief in it, but I also admire Charlotte's, down to earth understanding of it's a business. This is what you have to do to be a heel. This is what I'm going to do to be a heel, and this is what I'm going to do to be the top heel. Like, both are exceptionally. Like, I'm really glad you sent that to me because it solidified my thoughts about both women, that they're incredible performers. In fact, like all the top people, regardless if you like them or not, they're incredible for what they do. Right.
Yeah,
and their commitment.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like Charlotte Flair anyways, and I saw that. I was like, oh, let me watch this interview. I was like, holy shit, this is so good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I gotta send this to Steve. And it's like, wow. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, and she's also like a realist. Like, okay, look, this is also a business, so I need to, I need to do certain things. And it's like, okay, my interviews weren't that good. How can I make them better?
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe I should be a face. It's like, yes, but it comes off disingenuous. So it's like the fans aren't getting behind me because they feel that this is a bit fake. It's like, then she's just like, you know what? F it. I'll just keep the flair. I'm going to be Ric Flair's daughter. I'm going to be it anyways. I may as well be my own character from that. And that's really the best thing that you can do, because now people like Charlotte Flair and Ric Flair not being there all the time is helping that out, because you're starting to forget about Ric Flair. And because the thing with this, because it's real people, it has to move on and evolve. Yeah. It's not like comic books where you say, it's like not like Superman becomes a villain for a while and then he's going to be a good guy again. It doesn't work that way, right? No. Because you're buying into Superman being a hero and going on adventures. Wrestling has to have drama that constantly unfolds to keep you interested in it. And they can't do anything they want, like a Superman comic. If a Superman comic gets boring, they're like, oh, he'll just go to another world. And then people are like, oh, he's on another planet fighting guys. And you're like, oh, this is cool, right? So it's like, we'll put some monsters in it. Now he's fighting monsters. You're like, oh, this is cool. Or they'll do, oh, why don't we do him teaming up with Batman for like a 6-part, and then, oh, now it's him and Batman. Like in wrestling, you can't do that because people start to get bored. It's like, okay, how many times can Hulk Hogan come rip his shirt and win? And Hulk Hogan, he ran that way longer. Like even I was starting to think like, okay, what's going on? Like, how can Hogan still be doing this? And then it was Hollywood Hogan, which was the smartest thing.
Yeah. So the whole thing of Hogan is why he was able to live that because it was a different time period. We bought into it a bit more.
Right.
And he was he was on Rock and Wrestling. He was a sticker book that he alleged I had this sticker book that he wrote where he was talking about, he wrote, it was really,
yeah, it's nothing. There's no, yeah.
But Junkyard Dog was there and blah, blah, blah. And we were fighting all the heels and all this. Like Hulk Hogan was a bigger than life hero, right? Like he made movies, no holds barred and all that, but I think by the time you got to the 90s, wrestling had evolved. And really, WWE gets a lot of credit for the Attitude Era with Stone Cold and Rock and all that. But to me, the NWO ushered in the real Attitude Era on the other side because here you guys had come out in black and they hit guys with belts and they painted them. Like villains didn't really do that.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, what they did with Hogan was A, needed because the audience had changed, and B, you need it for the character because he was stale. He was just doing the same old thing and no one was buying it anymore. But you didn't have it. You didn't have that sort of childlike wonder now. The fans were older. They were more savvy. They knew that, Earthquake gave 7 earthquakes or 3 earthquakes to Hogan. That didn't destroy him. He just needed
Earthquake did not murder someone on the Brother Love show.
Right, exactly. Things you might have bought as a kid. I remember my dad, remember the whole Bam Bam Bigelow free agent thing, who was going to be his manager? And they kept showing, it's going to be Jimmy Hart. I remember going out and telling my dad when he was mowing the lawn, I'm like, oh, it's going to be Jimmy Hart. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. We all bought into it as a family. And now we all know it's fake. Right? We know the business and blah, 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 and cues and all that. But, at the time, they hadn't pulled back the curtain of that. Like I said, they were doing magazines where, Gino Hernandez was saying, Ricky Steamboat came up to me with a brick and hit me with it and stole my corned beef sandwich. And you're like, okay, I guess that happened. That's weird. But
yeah, those magazines were so weird. I wish I had some of those. I only kept the Divas ones. But
yeah, me too.
But oh man, it would have been so great, those old, and you'd be like, holy shit, what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
you thought you're reading some insider stuff, and it's literally a comic book. It may as well have just been it may as well just been Spider-Man,
Amazing Tales or whatever.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, and then now it's like you're thinking, do they actually do WWE magazine, and is it still fake like that, or?
I don't think they do it. And maybe Joe, if he's listening, can chime in. But I don't recall seeing it in a long time. I don't think they do it anymore.
Yeah, it's just because it's people know too much. There's so many websites now. You can just go to the webpage.
Yeah. Now Twitter, and I look at Twitter and social media as the new magazine now for the WWE. That's where they do all their storyline stuff.
Pretty much. Okay, so that's pretty much it for SmackDown. Let's talk about last night's Raw. First of all, I want to say the intro. There's some great editing there because you're like, this is I love the editing when they're when they recap stuff. You're
I know.
I don't remember this being this cool when I was. I mean, I remember when I used to get the WrestleManias. So I don't know if my Mania came in. It probably did. I got so many packages today. My Escape from New York, Super Collectors,
4K from Shell Factory,
that
which we'll have to return because a couple of the discs are
right.
There's 5 seconds of footage missing or something.
Sure. So I got that in, and then my King features. So Ming, Flash Gordon, and the Phantom, they came in.
Nice.
They're all on the ground. They're all on the ground there. You can kind of see them. And then my Transformers came in, so like a whole shit ton of boxes came in today. Yeah, so Joe's saying they did get rid of the magazines. Yeah, so I guess that they did. Yeah. But anyways, I was just thinking the editing was so good on that intro. But then Judgment Day came in, but then they were out there so long that they actually went to another segment, which was Dana Brooke was there, so I guess she's gonna have a match next week. And then Becky comes in, and it's like, I don't know, she's so fun. Becky is super funny as this villain. I just can't get enough of her. She's so funny.
Yeah, she had the and she's like, "Oh, I couldn't get the green out of my hair. I washed it 11 times or something like that." She's just, I like how she's like, she comes in and she's got a scheme, and no matter what someone says, she somehow makes it part of the scheme. And then he just gave her what she wanted, because she's like, "You're not doing your job." He's like, "Okay, I'll give you the Becky." He's like, "Now you're doing your job."
Yeah, good. Yeah, now you're good. Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, I'll give it to you then. Fine. Oh, okay. So then that was
like the confusion, because she's all ready to like fight. Like, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'll give it to you." She's like, "Oh,
okay." Yeah, she thought it would be harder to get. It's like, oh, okay.
But can I tell you, if I had a dream job right now, it would be the person interviewing Oscar. The only problem is I would not be able to keep a straight face throughout the entire thing.
She's outrageous.
She's like, she is so over the top. I don't know how anyone cannot just burst out. Like Gene Okerlund, if he was still alive, would have to turn his face all the time because it's so ridiculous.
So she's a mom too. She's a
mom.
Yeah, so she's the first mom who was doing it, because I saw another thing with Becky Lynch where she said Asuka actually was has to be, but then her husband is not part of the wrestling or whatever.
No, I think
so
he's
it's like.
But I just love how Asuka will, and then she just starts
crying. Cry baby.
And she's dancing. I'm like, what is happening?
What is that? Yeah, what is going on? That's not that. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, so Judgment Day came out and then sat around for like 5 hours.
God, there's so like there's you know what the problem is? This is really shocking to me. So there's 3 components, right? Damian Priest is coming off the best in this, because I like the rise. He's got that deep voice. It's like, I said rise. And I'm like, this is more personality than this man has shown in like 5 years of being in WWE. This is crazy. And I think and then he starts talking. I'm like, okay, you lost it. Just finish after all rights, because you can't, like, you were talking and everyone got bored.
Right.
This is not helping Rhea Ripley, in my opinion, at all. They're giving her terrible lines, and she's like, "Oh, Liv, I'll forgive you if you join us." I'm like, but you just called her a loser. Like, why would you then forgive her? Like, you're saying if she comes to Judgment Day, she'll be like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm completely. And then Edge is taking the biggest fall. He starts talking, and I'm like,
yeah, like, I lose track. I try to pay attention because Rhea's there.
It's too long-winded.
I like her. Man. I can't. I just lost, and I don't think they're saying anything.
They're just like, the Judgment Day is great. Join us. I'm like,
yeah, why again?
What he's naming like, oh, Alexa Bliss, Corey Graves. You could. I'm like, are you the NWO? What are you talking about? Yeah, like they need, if they're gonna do this, they need to destroy. And they did destroy people, and they were, they treated Liv like crap and all that. But it just comes across as being mean, not cool. Like, and when NWO would come in and destroy, you know what I'm saying? That people they'd come in and they'd destroy people, and be like, yeah, and it was like, yeah, that was awesome. And then like these guys, it's just like, you're like, yeah, but you're beating up Liv, and she's like 5 feet or something. It's like, why? You're just destroying her. Like, yeah, I don't. Plus, I like her, but like, I'm just like, I don't like. It's nothing. Like, they need to destroy tougher people. So you're like them destroying little people doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I need you to destroy someone big. Like, NWO would come in and they'd wreck people. You're like, oh my God, they just wrecked like Sting or something. You're like, Sting's like the biggest guy they have, and he just got obliterated, and they wreck Macho Man or something. You're like, holy shit.
they didn't go and they didn't go and beat up like, X-Pac or something and be like, yeah, we're the best. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, maybe they did, but it wasn't the only thing that they did. It's like, if you wanted to be Judgment Day, I told you, we said every week the lights go out, lights come on. He says it's like rise for the Judgment Day, and then they pass judgment on one of their superstars.
Well, the next is how did they initially start it off? They came in, they surrounded the ring, and it was CM Punk. Prior to CM Punk having his big run, CM Punk versus John Cena. And they got in the ring, and all 8 of them pounded the crap out of John Cena. All of them hit their finishers on. But it wasn't just that. They attacked the announcers. They attacked the ring keeper. They attacked the TV commentators. They destroyed the ring. Yeah. So that's what they're doing. Joe, it's just,
but it's boring.
I don't know. Like, it's just the 10 minutes of talking takes me out of it. And then they're just, I don't think they're cool. I think they should literally, like, someone should drop them all on their heads. Like, it's like J-Man said, it was mean. Like, they're going far beyond me getting on their side. They're not likable heels. It's just, I literally want to see someone drive Edge's head through a frigging wall now. And if that's what they're trying to achieve, that's great. But, like, the thing is now is that I've watched so many, especially they let the heels go too far.
Right.
I now fast forward that because I'm like, all right, yeah, Seth. Like, I wish I had that when Triple H was running things with, because they would beat up Test and make Foley and that every week. I wish I had that capability back then because I'd be using it. But I would just fast forward because I'm like, what I'm seeing, it takes it out of entertainment to uncomfortable levels. So I'm like, now I'm just seeing 2 people getting beaten up.
Yeah, it's not in a cool way or in a way that I'm thinking, oh, this was like pretty funny or whatever. You're just like,
yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's no longer entertaining.
Yeah.
And it becomes not a, hey, I want to see someone like knee Roman Reigns in the head, which is what Matt Riddle did. It's now like, I want to see the entire locker room come out and kick the living bejesus out of these people. And then I want to see the AEW guys come in and beat the living bejesus. Like, I wanted to a point that there was one beatdown I saw, long overdue, where Ric Flair beat the living hell out of Eric Bischoff, and it just went on for at length, and people were dying because it had gotten to that point where you needed to see him get his ass kicked.
Right.
And even though they haven't been around that long, the Judgment Day is coming very seriously close, and this shouldn't happen with a new heel group, but it's coming close where you're going to need someone to come in like Bobby Lashley and just kick the living hell out of them.
Yeah. They need to, it needs to be more strategically done. Like, I like the concept that I was thinking about where it's like they pass judgment every week on someone. The lights go off, lights come back on. They're at the ring, blocking the entrance. Like, we're here to pass judgment on you, whoever you are. Then it's like, what? They come in, they beat him up, they knock him down, and maybe they go like this or something. It's like, we have passed judgment on you. It's like okay, and then they're like, this is crazy, right? And then maybe they do that for a couple of weeks or 3 weeks or something, and then you start to think, oh, what's going to happen? Then maybe they pass judgment on a match on one wrestler, and the other guy loses because of a disqualification, and then the guy who loses says, hey, Judgment Day, you came in here, you interrupted my match. Who do you think you are? It's like, why don't you come and pass judgment on me?
Yeah.
Oh, like, there you go. And then that's a few, and then Edge looks over. And he could be like, yeah, Edge, come on in. Edge looks over at Damian. He's like, Damian, go teach him a lesson. Damian comes in, and then maybe Damian gets hit or something. And then Edge is like, Damian, you got to prove that you're good. You got to face this guy at the next whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
Do that then.
Yeah.
But they come out and I prefer less talking and more action. Like, it's like beating up Liv Morgan for 5 minutes. It's like, yeah, but Liv Morgan, anyone could beat up Liv Morgan. Who's
she's a little person.
She's little. It's like, so it just looks uncomfortable. Plus, I don't know, maybe it's just because it's a woman and we're old fashioned. But I don't like seeing, I don't like seeing.
It's also 2-on-1. Like everything is 2-on stretch out because of the how many is met? Yeah, no, that's very true.
Like, yeah, so they could have had an entire women's match.
Cody Rhodes, for his match with Mizzy, came out. He was out there. They did another segment backstage with Oscar. I'm like,
what's happening here?
Did Cody die? Like, what happened here?
Yeah, I know.
Like how they're doing things, it's really weird. But yeah, I mean, as far as the match went, it was fine. For a minute, I thought Liv gave Rhea a receipt, but I went back and rewatched it. I was mistaken.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't catch that, but yeah.
Oh, there was one thing because I watched it. I started watching that match before I went upstairs to go to bed, and Liv kicked Rhea right. She kicked her ass, literally.
Yeah.
And it was loud.
It was loud. I remember.
And Rhea yelled. Like, usually there's grunts in that when they're hit, but she yelled like that actually hurt her. And I'm like, because there was that whole thing where she was trying to suplex her and she dropped her and then she brought her up again. And I'm like, did she screw that up or something? But I think what happened is Liv may have, I think Rhea kicked her and we didn't see it because the angle was Liv was here and the kick hit. But I think she hit her, and I think Liv went up and gave her a bit of a receipt. I think she kicked her, but she kicked her in the ass. So that, but I think she legit kicked her.
That kick was a bit loud. You're like, whoa, okay. It was like the hair thing when Bianca smashed, and you're like, whoa, like that looks pretty rough.
But Rhea, I mean, it's hard to take those three Liv's 3 tiers of kicks, where she goes boom, and then she goes boom, and then she climbs up the person and kicks her. You could see, like, the angle was actually good on Raw, where you could see Rhea took it, and then she's like, okay, I got to put my face here. Took it. She's like, okay, I got to put my face here. Kick. Like, you could see she was literally thinking, like, I got to give her this target.
Right.
And it's like, it's really interesting when you sometimes see the craft work, which doesn't get enough praise, that these people do. Like, just her ability to think about the sequence and be like, okay, to take this, I have to put my face here, and here at this time. Like, it's tough, man. I don't know.
You're never the problem with performing arts, whether it's theater or a band or anything. You're only gonna get the negatives. You're not going to get the like, if I go to a show, if I go to a concert, I expect the sound to be good, and so when the sound goes out, you're like, oh, it went out for a second, what the hell? You're not going to say, well, phew, that was great, I'm going to applaud. Well, you do applaud them, but like, you're expecting that the moves are going to be good in wrestling. So it's like, it's only when they're missed,
it's only that you really, but I appreciate, like, you can sort of see glimpses of how hard this actually would be to do as a profession, and you got to applaud them regardless of your feelings for them, for their ability to do the work. Like, it's it's crazy.
So we had Alexa Bliss with a mini interview saying it's great to be back. Okay.
This is one of the oddest things I can think of. Alexa Bliss is great on the mic. She's a great character. She had 2 different great characters in the Goddess and the Fiend. Regardless of what you thought of the Fiend, it was something new and it was something different. Maybe went too far,
right?
But like, really good. But this is a weird thing, because you got someone who's really good on the mic and really good at telling a story, and she's Blandsville. I don't really know what they're doing right now. She comes out, she beats Nikki ASH. I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah, and I think Alexa herself doesn't know what's going on, and that's reflecting on it. It's like, yeah, I'm glad to be back, and Nikki and I used to be friends. I don't know what's going on with her. It's like, oh, she needs help. It's like, are you trying to be ironic? I don't get it. Like, it's like, oh, therapy really does help. It's like, okay, so you're being funny. I don't. So you're okay now, but you still have the doll. So what's the deal here?
It's the only thing I can think of is, and I hope this is what they're going to do, is build towards the tag team thing and have it where both Doudrop and Alexa Bliss want Nikki to be their partner for the tag thing, and they actually fight over it. And Nikki's like,
who do I go with?
Yeah, like that's a good question, Joe. I caught that as well.
I caught that too.
Because they're sort of saying they're sitting there saying, "Oh, she's not quite, the old Alexa." There. I'm like, she comes out, she gets a phenomenal reaction. She's still a great ring competitor. It's just that she's not getting anything to do. It's like, here's your opponent, Alexa. You win. Okay. You're getting a win streak now. Like they've mentioned that a few times. I'm like, okay, but like she's not fighting anyone. She's not involved in anything. She's just like, she just comes out. She does this. She waves to the fans and fights her opponent, waves to the fans, takes Lily and leaves. I'm like, this is not interesting. What are you doing? She's a phenomenal talent. What are you doing?
I mean, I don't know. Like, and it's like, should I wear it? Well, I'm not going to wear this shirt. I'll wear Liv since you're wearing Alexa when we go to Raw. But like, I mean, like, do we need to buy the Goddess shirt? Like, I don't get what's happening. Like, or do I take half of this shirt and, like sew it to the other half?
You have the ability to make a very interesting character, and you're not doing anything with her, and it's mind blowing to me. And I, as Joe said, like, what are the announcers doing? Like, they're sitting there and they're like, oh, she's not quite the old Alexa Bliss yet. And I'm like,
why would you say that?
I if I was a wrestler, I would go slightly off script every match, and I would insult Corey Graves because, God help me, I was listening to him again today, and I'm like, you are not Bobby the Brain Heenan. You are not Jesse Ventura. You are not Jerry Lawler. You're not. He goes too mean. He goes too mean, and he's not entertaining at all. Like, once in a blue moon, he's entertaining, but he's generally just like, oh, heel character. You don't know what you're talking about, Saxon. This is obviously a great person. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I caught him with some. What was the? There's a few times where I caught him where he was saying things. I'm like, okay, what are you getting at? Like,
yeah, like, what are you talking about? Like, it's usually like, but his like, the thing is that Bobby the Brain Heenan and Jesse Ventura and Jerry Lawler were funny.
Right.
Jerry Lawler is probably the worst of the three because, and when he kept going on about puppies, he would just drive me nuts. But all three of them were very good, and they were entertaining. He is not entertaining. Most of the time when he's talking, I'm like, it's you can tell me, oh, he's going to say the face isn't doing something good. Oh yeah, look, he did that. Or look, like, you don't discount the Judgment Day. Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah,
like,
he was like, oh, they could raise their career. He goes, think about how great they would be with Judgment Day. It's like, why? Like, I sometimes think that these guys need to do a little bit of winking,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not full on Deadpool breaking the fourth wall or breaking the kayfabe or however whatever it is. Just a little bit of winking. Like, it's like, no one ever said, Edge didn't talk too much or something, or I don't know, like do little funny things like that. It's like it's like Judgment Day, more like Judgment Week. Like, when is this interview going to be over?
I know. It's like, but that's why we love Chris Jericho, is because you would have, The Undertaker did that very infamous, me and the Big Show rode out in the desert with our bikes, and they were like cooking snakes or something. And he was going on and on. I was like, what's this? What is The Undertaker talking about? And then Chris Jericho came out. He's like, that was 10 of the most boring minutes I have ever witnessed. I was like, Jericho's the best. You need, like, what you needed to do in this thing is like, or when Edge is like, well, Corey Graves could could join, and someone else should be like, Corey, get back here. Like, he's going to run up there right now and do it.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, I saw Edge drop something. Like, be funny, because we know these people are not, if this is legit heat in other countries, so we've heard about it, like Africa and stuff like that, Dominican, if you have legit heat, they will kill you. They don't understand. So you have to be, like you said, a wink. Like, they're evil, they're vicious, they're douches, but you don't actually want to kill them. Right? You have to still show a character and entertainment. This is inevitably entertainment. Seth Rollins is the best heel in the world because he is frigging entertaining. He looks like he's having a blast being a heel. This is why Becky's a top heel, because she looks like she's having a blast being a heel. And when they have a blast being a heel, you have a blast with them being a heel.
Yeah. Seth Rollins is good. I also like this Ezekiel Kevin Owens thing, which is just outrageous and stupid.
And
it's like, I've got the DNA results, and it's like
it's like the lie detector. He came out as his own brother. Kevin Owens is awesome, man.
That was funny that Corey Graves like, my God, it goes, that looks exactly like, he goes, if it wasn't for the aged hair or something, or the gray hair, it would look like Kevin Owens. It's like, it is Kevin Owens.
Yeah, see, that's what I want. Like, that's the entertaining heel. Like, these guys who come out and are just like boring, and then they beat up people and leave. I'm like, okay, that's not fun. Yeah, I agree.
I'm thinking because I think maybe because, well, I don't know. For everyone else, not counting Jerry the King or Brain or Ventura or Gorilla, because I think, like, well, for sure, Brain, Jesse the Body, Gorilla, and Jerry the King had pretty good careers as wrestlers or personalities themselves, playing these characters, building them up before they became the announcers. But some of the announcers are just announcers and nothing else, right? Like, they were not.
Yeah, like Jim Ross worked best with Jerry Lawler, because Jim Ross was a straight-laced guy, and Jerry Lawler was an outrageous, over-the-top person, like, character, and they worked well together. I mean, like, Jim and Jerry Lawler could get a rise out of Jim Ross. Like, Jerry Lawler would say something about, oh, your wife did that, and I remember Jim Ross snapping at him. He's like, my wife's an airline, like, stewardess, you idiot, like, sort of thing. And it's like, it's fun because you could see Jerry Lawler, and you could see, like, they work best when you have the straight man and the comedian. Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon, Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon, Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler, the straight man and the funny man. Joe is right. There is no character on the Raw thing. It's like, Corey Graves insults the other two just take it. You need the one guy on the other side who's like, you know what, Corey, why don't you shut up? I hear you talking about all. And by the way, like, if you want to step in there, if you're such a great, why don't you step in? Like, start giving it back. Like, what is the stupidest thing I've heard Corey Graves say in the last 2 minutes? Like, this is what I'd be saying. It's like, I can't even figure it out because you said so many stupid things over the last couple, like, give it back to him. Make him respond. The problem is he insults them and they take it. I'm like, no. Jim Ross wouldn't take it. Gorilla Monsoon would yell at Bobby the Brain Heenan. He would yell at Jesse Ventura. They would argue. It was like a face and a heel. If they were commentating, how would it play out?
Yeah.
In this case, you have Corey Graves, who's a heel, and two robots.
Right, that's the problem.
It's like,
yeah, there was a wrestling match with the commentators, and then there was a physical wrestling. There was like a verbal wrestling match and a physical wrestling match.
Exactly.
And Gorilla Monsoon and the Brain are super, and like him and Jesse are great too. But like, it's like, are you blind? And it's like, what are you talking about? Like Bobby the Brain Heenan saying, "Oh, it's not a skirt, it's a kilt. I'm sorry," because Roddy Piper like saved Ric Flair or whatever. and they start beating up Ric Flair. No, it's a skirt. You're wearing a skirt, and it's like, Brain,
Yeah.
down. He's like, calm down, Brain. You're gonna like, have an aneurysm or something.
Well, it's because Gorilla Monsoon was the voice of the audience,
right,
and Bobby the Brain Heenan was the voice of the business.
Yeah,
was the voice of the character, of the outrageousness of the business,
right?
Right? And the two of them were clashing because face and heel, it works perfectly. Like they don't come to blows, but they would, like you said, verbally spar.
Yeah,
and
they're verbally fighting. Yeah,
and that's what happened. Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. That happened throughout. This is not good. Like the mix they have now, and even SmackDown is better. As Joe said, Pat McAfee has a personality.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Cole, he's okay. I'm not like, I don't hate him. I don't love him.
Yeah, Michael Cole is the villain, right?
No, he's
I
don't even know what it is. Like, it's funny. SmackDown they're almost like tweeners. Like Pat McAfee will talk on the side of the heel, but then he'll talk on the side of the face. Like he's more of a, but he's like, the great thing about Pat McAfee is enthusiastic for wrestling, and he gets into it. Like Rick Boogs comes out and he's playing the guitar, and Pat McAfee's up on the desk, like, doing air guitar and that. Like his enthusiasm is infectious. It's like when Chris Jericho, remember that robot fighting tournament that Chris Jericho was a commentator of? It was like,
yes, yeah, I know what you're talking. BattleBots or whatever.
BattleBot, and like Jericho was like jumping up, he's and like you can't help but get excited because
and I'm thinking this is not that great. Like it's just I mean, I happen to think it's okay.
Yeah,
and I've watched a few actually not long ago. But it's like, yeah, like, dude, like, but he was like super jacked. It's like, yeah, this is awesome. Like,
yeah,
okay.
And he elevated what you were seeing because he was excited. And that's with McAfee. McAfee loves wrestling. That's why he's got his gym back in Indiana where he practiced, which allowed him to put on a pretty decent match with Austin Theory. But that's it. If you have enthusiasm for it, and there's no enthusiasm with Raw. SmackDown's better simply because Pat McAfee has enthusiasm. No, Michael Cole is just the guy who's been around forever, so he knows the business in and out. Pat McAfee's the fan. So they sort of do it that way, which is okay. But Raw is just a black hole of personality. It's like garbage.
And now you got SmackDown where you have Charlotte Flair, who is the best, but she's taking a break, and Ronda, who doesn't show up. So like, I don't what is happening with that brand.
Well, that's why Raquel Rodriguez is coming out and doing stuff now. Like, I don't know. And now the big thing on SmackDown was they were pushing Sasha and Naomi, but now they're gone. I'm lost. Lacey Evans is now on Raw, so you've taken that out of the equation. So I'm like, I don't even know if they have a women's division on SmackDown.
Like, who's on SmackDown now?
It's Raquel Rodriguez.
Raquel.
Shayna Baszler, Natalya, Zia Lee made an appearance on SmackDown.
I saw her. It was like, where's Waldo?
Yeah.
I was like, Zia, there's Zia Lee. And then by the time I pointed at the screen, I was like, Zia Lee. She disappeared. I'm like, oh. And then I had a dream that night, and I woke up. I was like, no, I didn't really see her. No, I did see her. It's like, I'm losing my mind. Was she really there? I don't know. And it's like, yeah, she was there. I'm like, wow. Like, I love Raquel Rodriguez. Like, that's like, I don't know, that the second she spoke, I'm like, oh, instant thumbs up. I was like, they should have made her She-Hulk and just got rid of that dumb CGI and painted her green. Anyways, but I was like, I like Raquel Rodriguez. I like the smiling thing. I don't know why.
I love the smiling thing. Like, she looks like she's so happy to be in the ring.
Yeah, she's beating up people. She's like, literally, she's demolishing people, and she's happy about it. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, because there's so many of these guys who are angry, like Omos. And what's that other fellow? Is he a Russian guy or something? I don't know.
Oh, Gunther.
And I'm like,
and Veer Mahan.
Oh yeah, God, Veer. It's like, these guys, like, Gunther needs to laugh. I'm like, buddy, your name is Gunther. Like, isn't that kind of?
And you're relegating to beating up Drew Gulak every week.
Yeah, it's like you're fighting Drew Gulak. Like, you gotta laugh a little bit. But I like Raquel, who's just like, yeah, I'm here. Like, I'm happy to be here. Like, there needs to be someone who's happier beating up these people.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that Gunther guy is like so angry all the time. It's like it always looks like he's like fighting constipation or something.
I know.
It's like, buddy, it's like take a few pills, take some Flomax or whatever it's called. It's like
Maybe he should join the Judgment Day and Edge's bowel movement. Maybe he'd
yeah.
feel better.
Now a new member of Judgment Day is Gunther, and he just stands there. It's like he won't even know if he's part of it or not. It's just like, why am I standing here? It's like
Does
just
the other guy come with him, or does like, look, we'll take you, Gunther, but the other guy's a no-go, man. Like, we don't want
yeah,
him
like
here.
I don't know that guy's angle, but it doesn't matter. We're not going to talk about that. So let's talk about Bianca. So Becky versus Oscar. Bianca was at ringside yet again.
In a very revealing outfit yet again. I'm like,
yet again, like what is happening here? It's like okay.
I
The
have to
last one
say,
was brutal. The last one was like super. Like it was like
yeah.
that's going to fall off.
I gotta tell you though, the spot with Becky sitting in her lap.
Yeah, what the hell was going on?
was so good. And then Oscar kicked Bianca, and Bianca is the EST of the WWE. She fell terrifically. She just folded.
Yeah, like Oscar kicked the hell out of her head.
And she like, folded onto the ground. And even when she was coming to, she was all like, where am I? You know, woozy. Like, she sold it like a champ. The one problem with that finish though was it was baffling. So Asuka kicked Bianca, and that for some reason destroyed Asuka. That was basically like her taking 3 manhandle slams and a KOD. Because after doing that, she barely got back in the ring, and Becky's roll up didn't even cover one of her arms, and she just lost. And I'm like,
I was so I stayed up for it. Normally, it's tough for Raw because I have work the next morning, and it ends at like 11. Yeah. So I kind of like I'm kind of watching it on my iPad because I can PVR, and I've got my service can be on the iPad as well. So I stay up till about 9:30 or so watching it on the TV. Then I carry the iPad around because I start to just shut down and whatever. So then around between 10 and 11, I watched it on my iPad, and she came in, and then it's like there's a pin. I was completely stunned. I was a little bit dozy. I was a little bit like, I was like, well, what happened there? So you can rewind because it's, so I'm rewinding, like, I don't get what happened here. I'm like, yeah, okay, so she kicked her. I saw that. And she went in the ring and she got pinned. And I thought, was there a manhandle slam? Like, I couldn't tell what happened. And I was like, this looks really weird. I thought were they just running out of time, and they're like, yeah, just, finish this up or whatever.
They must have. Yeah.
Because that was so weird. I mean, I'm glad that Becky won because Becky's the best, but like, I mean, I don't know. That's so weird. Like, it was just weird to me. But yeah, she wins.
She won. I mean, that's good because you sort of need that heel element in this type of match. But I gotta say, like, it was hard. I had to go back and rewatch it because I was laughing so hard after Asuka kicked Bianca, and Bianca just like,
yeah, she died.
She died, and I was laughing for like a minute or so, and I missed stuff, so I had to go back. But problem is, when I went back and watched it again, I was laughing again. Like it was hard for me to watch. Like that sort of like, unintentional like straight shot always gets me. I can't do it, man. I just burst out laughing when I see stuff like that.
Yeah, well, it was pretty good. So Hell in the Cell is not this Sunday.
No, it's a week this Sunday.
It's next Sunday. So I don't think there's many matches for us to discuss.
Right now it's the 3-way. Ronda's apparently not. I mean, Bianca didn't defend at the last one, so I guess Ronda's got this one off. She's got no known opponent. She beat the best woman on Raw SmackDown right now, which is Ronda. She's not going to fight Sasha Banks, which was her intended opponent, so I guess Ronda's got the thing off.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I don't think they want to do Becky versus Belair just yet. They want to save that, I'm guessing.
I mean, the problem is that if it actually takes place, I assume And Joe, if you wouldn't mind, confirm this if I'm wrong, but I assume that all the matches at Hell in a Cell take place in a cell. I think that's true. I'm not sure, but if I'm wrong, let me know. If that's the case, you don't really need to insert Oscar because what has happened between Bianca and Becky is now personal, and it should finish up in a cell.
Yeah. Yeah. Is the entire pay-per-view in a cell?
Like, I don't know. Like, I know that's not the same with, what do you call it? Like Elimination Chamber. Those aren't the only matches. Same with, what do you call it? Money in the Bank. But Extreme Rules, I believe every match had to have a tables match, a ladder match,
Right.
falls count everywhere match. Like, everything had to have an extreme rule. So,
Right.
like, I always remember Hell in a Cell. I remember in the past, Hell in a Cell took place all in a cell. Like, every match was in a cell.
If I can Google that real quick.
Which made sense because you don't want to keep lifting and lowering the cell, right? But
Right.
I'm not sure if that's still the case. If it is, then it should be Becky versus Bianca because inserting Asuka is sort of not needed. As Joe said, it's awkward.
I don't even know how to like.
Let me look it up.
Because it's like you're asking, it's like, does every match in Hell in the Cell take place in the cell? Like,
It's like Hell in a Cell was a thing. Let me just double check.
okay, Hell in the Cell Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. Yeah, the main event of the match of the cards contested. Feature Hell in the Cell. So it looks like there's one Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah.
So that's incorrect.
So it's not going to be Bianca and Thing in the cell.
I would assume not. No.
Yeah. See, that is misleading.
Wow. So you have one choice. You either have one match in a cell or you have all the matches in a cell because you're not going to keep lifting and lowering the cell for each match.
Yeah. So
not all the matches take place in the cell. Usually only 2 to 3. Okay. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, so that's weird. But yeah, I guess I guess you don't want to have every match in there. Some people might not want to do it.
Yeah, and like it gets boring for the fans too, where it's like, oh look, now someone else is getting thrown into the cell. Oh look, now someone else. I guess Cody versus Seth makes the most sense because now it's like Seth is taking it to a next level, so the next level is taken to a cell.
And probably Bobby Lashley. Well, that or no, that's going to be the special stipulation.
It's the 2-on-1 handicap match, so it's MVP and Omos versus Bobby Lashley.
Right. So, but that won't be in the cell then, I bet.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
They only have one match so far for the cell, and that's Cody versus Seth, which will be an insane match.
That'll be awesome. I do like that Bobby Lashley got thrown
through the cell,
and then the cell broke, and then he's like, "Oh, I just won." I actually thought that was super fun. I don't know. I know that could be a letdown for people, but I actually thought that was kind of funny because it's like, oh, you thought you're all badass. You're like, well, I just won. Okay, thanks. It's like,
yeah, it was a great way to win because you want Bobby Lashley. I don't know where they're going with Omos. So if you want Bobby Lashley to win this match, that's the best way to do it because it doesn't make Omos look
right
bad. Yeah, so I guess it makes sense because you're like, oh, the next match it's in the cage. Oh, the next match it's in the cage.
Right.
Like it gets redundant. But I loved the fact that Omos still looks strong. He threw a man through a freaking cage. But Bobby Lashley got the win, which is probably Bobby Lashley, I would assume. Well, no, I heard the next 3 opponents for Roman is Riddle, Orton, and Drew McIntyre versus him at Clash at the Castle, which makes sense because it's in Wales. Well, McIntyre's from Scotland, but
right, whatever.
UK. Which is kind of interesting because I don't know why you would think Riddle, like he beat Lesnar, he beat John Cena, he beat Kevin Owens, he's beaten everyone. What?
Riddle's not going to win.
Riddle's not winning. Orton's not winning. McIntyre may conceivably win, but I don't think so. I would assume it's going to be Lashley, but Roman's taking time off anyway. Like he's not going to wrestle as many dates as he has been, so he's going to have to drop the belts at some point. But like it's going to be either Cody or Lashley, I assume, who does it.
Yeah, well, each one of those guys can win one of the belts, maybe, or something, and they'll put them on whatever brand it is or whatever.
Yeah, they're going to do a shake-up soon, I assume. So guys will end up on different brands anyway.
And they're gonna have to figure out if they can find enough women to form tag teams to win this tag team belt, because there are no tag teams.
Well, you're going to need, so you got Shayna and Natalia's one. I think you got to team up Shotzi and Aaliyah. Yeah, I agree, Cody.
Yeah.
I believe Joe.
That's gonna happen.
Win it. Like that's almost a guarantee now.
Cody Rhodes is like super awesome to me. I don't know what happened. I'm like, this guy's like the best. I might get a shirt.
They're doing countdowns to when he's going to appear.
I know. Okay, so you know what? That irks me a bit because like he will appear in 15 minutes. Like, well, how do you know this match will be over in 15 minutes? But anyway.
They used to do, this is a 30-minute time limit or a 1 hour time limit. They don't do that
they don't say that. They don't say that any. I miss all those things.
I know.
You know, I used to, because like I remember as a kid thinking, oh man, like what's this one going to be? This one has a 30 minutes. Oh, 30 minutes. Oh my God. Oh, 30. And look, we know it's fake, but like I didn't, like I was, even though I like that idea that it's like, oh shit, this is a time limit, and it just adds another layer to the excitement. Like, this is I remember this next match is scheduled for one fall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when has it ever not been one fall on a non-pay-per-view?
I know.
Like it's always one fall. Now I remember watching some of the old Santo, like Lucha Libre and stuff like that, and you'd have to do 3 pins or something like that, or whatever.
There was one I saw on Raw, and I can't remember who the competitors were. But I think it was best of 7 in one.
Wow.
Yeah. And Kurt Angle was one of them. I think it's Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar.
Huh.
So I saw that. I remember I saw that on a Raw. So they have been known to do it on occasion.
But yeah, I liked all that. Like, this match was scheduled for one fall with a 30-minute time, because like the timekeeper does nothing.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like, I like the idea that there was a time limit, or something, or even if you say it's an hour and it ends in 10 minutes, okay, fine. But, and then that way you could have the countdown to Cody Rhodes. Like, I'm like, yeah, it's like, don't worry guys, Cody Rhodes is coming in 15 minutes. Just hang in there. You're like, yeah, but by the time he comes, then he walks. I'm super excited because Steve and I are going to Raw. I'm excited to see what happens during these commercial breaks where these people come out and do nothing and just stand around for like 4 minutes. Like, what is happening? Like, they come back and it's like, okay, Becky Lynch goes to each thing and says, hey, it's like, well, what does she do after that? Like, does she just stand around? Like,
I seem to recall, because we went to a Raw not that long ago. It was a while ago, but it wasn't like 20 years or something. Christian was on it, just came back, and Shawn Michaels was there, got booed for the Bret Hart thing.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah. I mean, you if they have a tournament, I would put Natalia and Shayna. I would do Aaliyah and Shotzi as a team, because I think they'd actually be really funny as a team for some reason.
Yeah.
You could do something where Becky was trying to get the perfect partner and she ends up with someone I don't know, whoever. Nikki and Dewdrop's a tag team, obviously. Oscar and maybe Liv Morgan, that would be an interesting tag team.
They should do Raquel on her own.
Raquel on her own, I was going to say that.
And she wins.
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
Raquel Rodriguez has become like one of my top people. I don't know why. I just can't get enough of her. It's like she's the best. It's like I like the smiling. I followed her on all her social stuff. It's like I like her attitude. I think she's cool. I'm looking for a shirt or something, so we'll see if they have one. But it would be awesome for her to win the tag belts. And that would be kind of a meta thing too, to make fun of how lame it is.
Yeah.
And like how lame they've been treating the belts.
I think it would be perfect, to be honest with you. But I think you have to bring up NXT talent to compete.
Yeah. Maybe Alexa Bliss can team up with herself and she's like psychotic or something, or I don't know.
That'd be interesting. Well, what I think would be funny is if she teams up with Nikki and Dewdrop teams up with Nikki.
As different.
Nikki's like showing up, but then they have to fight and she's like, like, WWE, just be creative, man. Like, we're watching you for entertainment, so do crazy things like this. We know it's not real, so just be crazy. It's more fun that way.
And I think on that note, we're gonna end off. Okay, guys, tomorrow I'm gonna be doing a 90s comic stream with Sean, talking about 90s comics. There will be a Saturday Phantom Zone, so open chat. We're gonna talk about She-Hulk trailer. We're gonna talk about Kenobi, which I think is tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And what else do we got to talk about? I saw the Thor Love and Thunder full trailer. Something's already pissed me right off in that trailer, which is not a good sign. But some things looked cool though. So there's that to talk about. What else?
There'll be a new Superman and Lois.
Oh, Superman and Lois. Oh God, I'm dreading this whole Lana.
Or is it next week? No, it's next week.
That's next week. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Well, Lana, she better be okay with this secret thing, because I'm gonna absolutely barf if she's not, which she's not, because it's CW. So I'm gonna be posting an X-Men video hopefully today, and then tomorrow I'll try to read the other X-Men comics and post that if I can. It's crazy. But okay, guys, thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you hopefully tomorrow.
Hey friends, you've just been listening to J-Man, and he is the smartest person who ever lived. So make sure you like and subscribe.